Okay, our first task today is to have our first word wall entry in our word wall graphic organizer. You're going to want to find this document in your class materials section of Google Classroom. So if you're looking at a document that looks like this with a colorful word wall image on the front, you're on the right page. I'll give you a moment to locate that. And as this startled cat in the corner is indicating, you will definitely need to remember the vocab words. So the way that vocab will work this semester is every other week we'll get 7 new words that we will add to our list. And those words will be cumulative, meaning they will build over the course of the semester. And you will be assessed on your ability to remember the meanings of the words. So we'll come back to the words periodically as a class and be sure that we are building a really concrete understanding of those words. Okay, hopefully by now you've located this document and you're looking at something like this. You'll notice at the top there's a table that has a bookmark for each week's table. So let's go ahead and click on this week's. And you're looking at a blank table here ready for you to fill in. You're going to type over any blue text. So you'll type in the word. If there's a root or prefix, you'll type that in as well. You'll type in the class definition from the slide, and then you'll create your own kind of student-friendly definition that makes good sense to you. Then you'll insert a visual. You can either insert a Google drawing by doing Insert Drawing, New, and sketching your own image, or you can insert a Google image by going to Insert Image and then searching the web for something that relates and inserting it. And the last column is a choice column. So you can either write your own sentence, offer an example, make a connection, or come up with some sort of memory trick that will help you remember the definition of the word. Okay? So that's how you'll complete the chart as we go. You'll probably be playing and stopping as we go through the slides. Okay? All right, let's get started. So this week's word list, our 7 words, come from the text that we're going to start reading in class tomorrow, called I Can't Accept Not Trying by Michael Jordan. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our first word, which is illusion. Illusion is a noun. The definition is something that leads to a false sense of security or a deception, so something that appears to be real but really isn't. Michael Jordan uses this word when he says, I'm not thinking about anything except what I'm trying to accomplish. Fear is an illusion. So essentially, he means that fear isn't real. It's deceptive. It seems real because we kind of give it power, but it really isn't. Even though it starts with ILL, which is a word that means bad, in this context, illusion doesn't have a prefix, so you don't need to write anything for the root or prefix row. So right now you'll want to pause the video, type in the notes in the blue section, add your own definition, add an image, and then add your own choice for column for the last column. And when you're ready, go ahead and play it to look at the next word. Okay, word number 2 is half-hearted. It's an adjective. To do something half-heartedly means to do it without enthusiasm or energy. Michael Jordan says, I don't do things half-heartedly because I know if I do, I can accept half-hearted results. The prefix for half-heartedly is half, which we know means not full or partial. And the root word is heart, which we know relates to kind of your emotions, right? Putting your heart into something is like how much you're putting your emotions into it. So it makes sense that half-hearted means to do something without enthusiasm or energy. You're not putting your emotions into it. Okay, so go ahead and pause the screencast, type in the definition, type in the prefix and root for this one, and then the remaining columns on your own. All right, word number 3 is glamorize, which is a verb. This is an action that you do. The definition is to make something seem more desirable or better than it is. So Michael Jordan says, it seems our society tends to glamorize individual levels of success without taking the entire process into consideration. Football is a prime example. So what that means there is that we're sort of making something seem better than it is. Like we're sort of making individual success seem bigger and more important than it actually is, when in reality, there's a whole process behind an individual's path to success. So he's saying we glamorize that. We make it seem more desirable or better than it actually is. And there's no root or prefix for that word, so you can skip that column. Okay, go ahead and jot your notes down for glamorize and press play when you're ready. Word number 4 is selfless. Selfless is an adjective, meaning concerned with the needs of others before one's own. The prefix is self, related to yourself, and the suffix is less, meaning without. So if you are selfless, you are not concerned with yourself. It's a selfless process, Michael Jordan says, and in our society, sometimes it's hard to come to grips with filling a role instead of trying to be a superstar. He's talking about the path to success on a basketball team is a selfless process, meaning you can't focus on yourself. You have to put the needs of your others, in this case your teammates, before your own needs. Okay, pause the video, take your notes, and replay when you're ready. Word number 5 is fundamental, which is a basic principle or an essential part of something. It's a noun. There's no root or prefix for fundamental. Michael Jordan says, fundamentals were the most important part of my game in the NBA. So he's saying the basics or the essential parts. He talks about things like practicing your free throw shot, practicing your dribbling, just the very basics. That's what made him a great player. Okay, so pause the screencast, fill in the rest of the rows, resume playing when you're ready. The 6th word is gratification. Gratification is satisfaction or reward. So the thing that you get out of doing something, the benefit, the outcome. Michael Jordan says, but some guys don't want to deal with that. They're looking for instant gratification, so maybe they skip a few steps. What Michael Jordan's talking about here is that sometimes we want instant gratification, or we want the reward immediately. We don't want to go through the hard work first to get the reward. But he's saying you have to go through the steps. You have to go through the work to get the gratification or the outcome or the satisfaction. The root word of gratification is grat, meaning pleasing. So gratification relates to the sort of the pleasing outcome of your hard work or your efforts. All right, go ahead and get that in your notes. All right, our last word is conviction, which is a noun. Your convictions are your firmly held beliefs or your principles, the things that you kind of hold dear to your heart, you really strongly believe in. The prefix con means with. And in Michael Jordan's text, he says, but along the way, you also have to stand up for what you believe in and hold on to your convictions. So what you believe in, your principles, that sort of thing. All right, so go ahead and pause the screencast and get your last vocab word in your chart. Once you're ready, we'll replay and we'll go on to our next phase of our lesson. All right, hopefully you have completed all 7 rows of your vocab chart and you are ready to work towards memorizing those words as we go on. The second part of our lesson today is going to ask you to read your outside reading book and to complete the 4 steps of text approach. If you remember in class on Monday, we learned this 4 steps of text approach. And remember, these are 4 steps that you go through anytime you encounter a text. This is what helps you to do close reading and to make sure that your conversation voice stays turned on and you don't slip into your distracting voice while you're reading. So we're going to practice 4 steps of text approach with your outside reading book today because we haven't had a good chance to just read our outside reading book and really enjoy that. So you're going to read your book for the duration of class today, and in your notebook space, in your digital notebook, you're going to write 4 entries. So right now, before you start reading, I'd like you to do the red entry, which is the prepare to read step, step number 1. And I'd like you to write a prediction about the book as a whole or the chapter that you're about to read if you're pretty far into your book. So stop the screencast and write a prediction. Just be sure that your prediction goes beyond the information that you already know about the book, right? So if it says on the back cover that, someone's going to get kicked off of the basketball team, don't write a prediction that they're going to get kicked off the basketball team, right? You already know that. Your prediction has to go beyond what you know and to make an educated guess based on kind of the title or what you're previewing in a chapter or a whole book. All right, so pause, write number 1, and write down your prediction. Okay, now that you've written your prediction, you're going to continue reading. And during your reading, you're going to write a text to self, a text to text, or a text to world connection. That's step number 2, actively read. You don't have to do all 3, just pick one. So you'll say something like, this reminds me of something in my life, something in another book or movie that I read, or something happening in the world or in history. So write a text to something connection. That will be step 2. And at some point during your reading, you're also going to pause and summarize. That's step 3. Remember, step 3 is to monitor your progress and be sure you understand what you're reading. So maybe a few pages in, you'll pause, you'll summarize, you'll see if you're kind of staying tuned into the text. Okay? When you're done, and there's only a few minutes left in class today, I want you to do step 4, which is what you do when you're done reading. So step 4 in your notebook today is going to be to rate your enjoyment of today's reading and to explain. So you'll either say 4, I'm loving what I'm reading. 3, it's kept my interest well enough. 2, it's okay, but I'm going to give it more of a chance. Maybe it's not the best, but I'm going to keep trying. And 1 is I'm not enjoying this and I'm ready to find something else. It's perfectly fine if your outside reading book is not a win. We want you to be reading something that you enjoy. So if it turns out this isn't the book and maybe you've given it 30 pages or so, that's fine, use something else. I'd also like you to write at least 2 sentences explaining your reaction. So don't just put 3, but put 3 and here's why. Okay, so when you're done reading today, you should have 4 steps of text approach outlined in your notebook for me to take a look at. All right, so that is our lesson for today. Hopefully you have a completed vocab chart and the 4 steps of text approach in your digital notebook. All right.